Oh, wrestling fans! Don't you dare be sour! Clap for the Angle Podcast and feel the power!
Ladies and gentlemen, The Angle proudly presents the world's most talked about pro wrestling sensation.
It's the Angle Podcast. How exciting!
Ladies and gentlemen, grab some popcorn and your face mask because tonight is going to be a horror show. Welcome to the show before the show, the Angle's WWE Extreme Rules pre-show. I'm your host, Joey Karni. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe down below to stay up to date with all the Angle's activity right here on YouTube. Coming to you live at the top of the hour on the WWE Network, WWE The Horror Show at Extreme Rules. And tonight has some major implications. Now I'll be checking in with some fellow analysts throughout the entire night, going over the matches, giving match predictions, breaking down everything you need to know before the show goes live at 8 p.m. Now we will also have a special guest making his presence known tonight, and that will be WWE Superstar DOMINIK DIJAKOVIC. You heard that right. DOMINIK DIJAKOVIC will be stopping by later on in the show to give some match predictions for WWE The Horror Show at Extreme Rules. Now, I'm excited for all the matches going down tonight at Extreme Rules, but there is one in particular I have my eye on, and that is the eye for an eye match between Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio, where the winner will be determined by extracting his opponent's eye from his face. I don't know how that is going to play out. We know this will be a cinematic match, obviously, by the WWE, but we don't know how or if this match will go down. Now, joining me right now in the Angle Zoom room from last month's Backlash pre-show, please welcome the Balor Club Guy. Ladies and gentlemen, I am here with the Balor Club Guy. We're going to be going over, like I said, a few of the matches that are really going to be stealing the show at the Horror Show at Extreme Rules. First off, welcome, sir. How is everything? How are you?
Very good, Joey. Thank you for having me again.
Good. Everybody's safe. You and your family are safe during these crazy times?
Yeah, we're all staying safe, doing what we got to do. I still got to work, so it's, a little scary, but, always have the mask on every time I go out. So.
Of course, mask on. So I see, before I go into the matches, I see next to you, you have the Brahma Bull title. Is that new?
I do. Oh, yes. This is my baby right here.
Nice.
Yeah.
I just put out I think you responded to it too. I put out a tweet a few days ago, like, I think it's time for a new replica belt. I don't know which one I want. I need help. But I ended up going with the North American Championship. So that's on its way.
Very nice. Yeah, that's a beautiful. I want to add that eventually to my collection. That's a beautiful belt.
I like that one. I kind of, you know what it is? The Intercontinental Championship, I'm kind of a fan of. I'm not really sure how I truly feel about it, but I don't know. I want to get that one next. And then the U.S. title one, I don't know. There's so many, but
I know.
I know.
So many.
I'm sorry. One of the matches on this card that are very, very different than what we're used to seeing is Rey Mysterio versus Seth Rollins, an eye for an eye match. I'm not sure if you saw the description for what this match is actually going to be.
I did.
Or the details for what each opponent has to do to their other opponent. But what I do know about this is that it's going to be one of those cinematic matches that we're normally used to seeing now on WWE pay-per-views. So I want to get your thoughts. I want to get, your perspective of what you think about this match and so forth.
So I'm looking forward to this match. When I saw the description, I was like, okay, so the description of the match, the winner will be whoever extracts their opponent's eye or eyeball. That's the description. So first thing when I read that, I'm thinking See No Evil with Kane, that movie. So
Exactly.
I'm guessing they're going to do some cinematic CGI horror. It's the horror show at Extreme Rules. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a very, I don't know if it's going to be PG. I don't know how they're going to do that.
And honestly, I don't think I would mind it not being PG. I think we're due for some crazy really thing. I'm not sure if we're gonna get that with the Wyatt Swan match, which later. But I think this match is really gonna be one of those matches that we're gonna be talking about after. And one of those reasons being is it's very hard to predict a winner because we know that right now that Rey Mysterio is working in WWE without a contract.
Yeah,
His
no contract.
Expired. He's working without a contract, more of just a handshake with Vince McMahon and management. So this could be a way to exit him from the company. He gets his eye extracted, and now he's written off in WWE terms. But also, we know Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch are going to be having a baby in December. So maybe he's written off to be home with her, and because of the coronavirus.
Yeah.
So there's two different ways this can go. I can see either one of them being written off for the time being. I don't know who I pick, really. Who do you think is going to win this match? Where do you think it goes?
I'm picking Rey Mysterio. I think Rey Mysterio wins this match. And to your point, like you said, Seth Rollins him and Becky Lynch are having, they're going to have a child. And I don't think it'll be the safest for him to be working, with the newborn at home. So I'm picking Rey Mysterio for me just because I feel like Rey needs this win in the way the storyline's going. And I think it will be, like I said, Rey Mysterio is working with no contract. So I could see maybe Dominic get involved in the match, because, Seth Rollins did try taking Dominic's, tried blinding Dominic like he did Rey. So I'm picking Rey Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio, wow. See, for this one, just because of the outside real life scenarios that are being played out, I have to pick Seth Rollins for this match just because of just the plain fact that Mysterio is working without a contract. We don't know if he's re-signed or not. And in WWE that, it's only – this doesn't happen for anybody else. Rey Mysterio has, he's a legend, and it's probably a seniority thing, I would assume, to allow him to perform without a contract, more of a handshake basis. That's what I read, at least. And the fact that he hasn't signed a contract yet, at least we don't know that he has, is more of an indication for me that Seth is going to win this match. Although I would love to see Rey get the win because of what's happened to him over the past few weeks, his son Dominic being played into the storyline. This is, no pun intended, but the little guy needs a win here. And I think that it would be awesome to see Mysterio win. But I'm gonna have to go with the Monday Night Messiah, Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
So you're going.
I'm going with Rey on this one. Yeah, I want Rey to get that revenge on the Monday Night Messiah.
All right. So for anybody watching right now, the Balor Club Guy wants to go for Rey Mysterio. I want to go for Seth Rollins. You can tweet us at The Angle Radio. Let us know who you agree with. What's your Twitter handle? So people.
You can find me on Twitter at the Balor Club Guy.
At the Balor Club Guy. Okay. And you can let us know who you agree with, either the Balor Club Guy or me. Like I said, at the Angle Radio on Twitter. The next match I want to talk about is the SmackDown Women's Championship. And that's going to be Bayley Doe Straps defending her title against Nikki Cross. This is a match that kind of came out of left field. I didn't really see Nikki Cross becoming the number one contender. This is a match I think we've seen a few times already, Bayley and Nikki Cross. So this can go really in a lot of different directions, especially with Alexa Bliss and Sasha Banks obviously going to be at ringside for each of their tag team partners. But this can go a lot of different directions, playing into the fact that Bayley and Sasha or are inevitably going to have a big falling out, probably at SummerSlam. I don't want to assume, but that's what I'm going to take a guess at. So I could see Nikki Cross picking up the win here, becoming champion and feuding with Alexa Bliss for that title. Alexa Bliss turning heel again, feuding there. So there's a lot of different ways that can go. What are your thoughts? What do you think that is the best scenario that can be played out here?
Yeah, like you said, it did kind of come out of left field. I gotta pick Bayley to retain. I don't see Bayley losing that title. As much as I love Nikki Cross, don't get me wrong. I love Nikki Cross. She's awesome. But I think Bayley's holding that title. I don't think Bayley Dose Trap's going away. So I gotta pick Bayley. I definitely think there will be outside interference.
Of course.
But I'm picking Bayley to retain.
See, here I'm gonna have to agree with you. I do believe that Bayley is gonna pick up the win and retain her title. Like you said, I don't see her losing that title anytime soon unless it's to Sasha Banks. I'm predicting in this match that Sasha is going to help Bayley get the win. We've seen Sasha on a really hot streak right now, picking up wins, getting the wins for her team. And I think that's going to continue in a different stance in a way where she's going to allow Bayley to pick up the win. And we're going to get to a point where Bayley is figuring out that she does need Bayley, or she does need Sasha to pick up wins, and Sasha doesn't really necessarily need her.
Yeah.
More of a jealousy thing. I think that's where it's going. But I have to agree with you here. I think Bayley retains. There's not a doubt in my mind that Bayley retains. Now, is there anything about this match that really stands out to you? Any thoughts or anything that you can say?
I think it's going to be a good match. I think, there will be interference. I think it will. Now, I don't know how the matches are going to line up on the pay-per-view, but I think it'll play a role in Sasha's match at Extreme Rules.
Of course. Now, speaking of Sasha's match, do you think that she's going to be at ringside for Bayley's match?
I believe she will be.
Okay. And Alexa Bliss as well in Nikki's corner.
Yeah, I believe there will be. I believe both Alexa and Sasha will be at ringside. I think someone might get thrown out of ringside by the referee, but they'll definitely both be there. Okay,
so we're both going with Bayley retaining her SmackDown Women's Championship here over Nikki Cross. I want to thank the Balor Club Guy for returning back to the Angles pre-show, giving some great insight, some great perspective into the matches that we just discussed. Now, there is another match on the card that was just announced earlier this week. It was on Friday Night SmackDown that we saw Cesaro pick up a win over Big E, where the winner would determine the stipulation for the WWE Tag Team Championship match at Extreme Rules. Now, Cesaro did pick up the win in what was a fantastic match to start out Friday Night SmackDown. Now, that stipulation that was chosen is a tables match. So it is official. Tonight at WWE The Horror Show Extreme Rules, we will have a tables match to determine the WWE SmackDown Tag Team Championship. The New Day defending their titles against Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro. We're going to head back now to the Zoom room with a new analyst making his debut on the Angle pre-show. I want to welcome Kenny from A Kenny for Your Thoughts podcast. Angle fans, we are back in the Zoom room. I'm here with Kenny from Kenny for Your Thoughts podcast. How are you, sir? How's everything going?
I was pretty good, man. I'm pretty excited to talk some horror show Extreme Rules. This is I feel like these pay-per-views are non-canon now. It's like a weird fever dream every time I watch a WWE pay-per-view. So
yeah, especially now with the horror show gimmick. I don't even know what this is, but I'm assuming we're going to get some sort of horror show this weekend. One of those matches being for the tag team titles. We saw it announced on SmackDown. Kofi Kingston and Big E will be defending their SmackDown tag team titles against the newly formed team of Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura. We saw on SmackDown, Cesaro got the win over Big E. They picked their stipulation. It's going to be a tables match. I kind of assumed this is where it was going. What are you thinking about this match?
I don't know the backstage segment where Shinsuke was suggesting a cage match, and then Cesaro's like, no, they could shake their asses near the the cage. I was like, wait, what? Like, what? Like I thought a cage. I was getting excited for the cage match, and then they swerved me with the tables match, which tables matches are always good, but I feel like they shouldn't have teased that little cage match thing because I was just getting excited for it, and then they ripped the rug out from under me, so. But I am excited for the match. At the same time, I'm not a negative person. I always try to find the positives in wrestling. But it's like we've seen this feud kind of go on for a little bit. So it's like I hope this is kind of like the wrapping up of this feud more than anything,
Of course. And to the point of like this being now a tables match after, Cesaro picking up the win on SmackDown, we kind of figured, at least I kind of figured it was going to be a tables match just because we saw tables utilized the last time on SmackDown where they ended the show and, they put Big E and Kofi to the table. So I don't know why they did this whole, they get to pick the stipulation. They should have just made the match official and then, I don't know. But I am excited for this match because it is Extreme Rules. I think a lot of people are forgetting that. It's being marketed as the horror show.
Right.
But it is Extreme Rules. And where we do see these extreme matches, and this card in particular, I don't really see any extreme matches besides this one and obviously whatever McIntyre and Ziggler choose for that match.
Well, I mean, with this being a tables match, like you said, I think a lot of people are glossing over, with the tagline being, the horror show at Extreme Rules. People are kind of glossing over the fact that, like, this is, quote unquote, the one night of the year where WWE goes extreme. So we're supposed to have TLCs, we're supposed to have tables matches, we're supposed to have chairs and things like just ridiculous hardcore matches. Because of all the gimmick matches, we're kind of forgetting that. So it's good that we're getting, I like how you explained that we're getting the traditional, tables match here. We should be getting a tables match, so we should be getting a cage match, I hope, so I hope they utilize some stipulations, especially seeing as that most of this will be pre-taped, the cinematic matches. And then that way we can have, the hardcore matches. So you can set up the cage in between a cinematic match, that sort of thing,
Of course. Now thinking about it, I don't even know how they would put the cage in there just because the PC is not necessarily like a real arena, so they can't have it hanging over the ring. At least I don't think I don't know.
Well, they'll just do it old school style. You remember when they used to just bring the sides and they used to just put them up, and that's kind of what I was insinuating, which is in between the cinematic matches, they do have time to kind of just bring the pieces and put them together. In between that match, I think of when Matt Riddle fought Timothy Thatcher in the I forgot what it was marketed as.
Pit thing.
The fight pit, yes. Yeah. So I mean, they had a big cage, there, so they can do it. They can definitely do it.
Of course. Now, before we dig deeper into this match, I do want to ask you, Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura, great talents individually. Do you like them as a tag team? Do you think this is a great fit for the tag team division? Because I know on SmackDown they are lacking that extra boost in the tag team division. Do you think that this is it?
It's funny you say that because I was watching, SmackDown the other night, and I literally was thinking like, man, these two guys are really good individually. But it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, if you're not going to utilize them properly, you might as well put them in a tag team, At the same time, I feel like Cesaro gets put into too many tag teams as it is. And then the other thing is like, forget even Cesaro. I think Shinsuke should be a world champion by now, so I'm almost like, I don't want to say get bitter, but I'm almost like, man, Shinsuke, like they could do more. They could do more with this. Yeah. At the same time, like I said, chicken shit out of chicken salad kind of thing. If you're not going to utilize them, put them together, boost the division. SmackDown really is lacking in the tag team division. WWE in general is lacking, that their tag team division needs work the most. Yeah. So why not utilize these two, and then hey, maybe you break them up later on, they can feud with each other. So yeah. That would be an interesting feud, Shinsuke versus Cesaro, later on down the road. But I'm just long-term booking, pal.
Of course.
Like Vince would say.
And I know that they were formed in an alliance with Sami Zayn. Sami obviously not being there right now. So this is, I guess, a way to carry on that storyline in a sense.
I think so. Yeah. Sami Zayn, I think that's really why maybe there's that confusion for me, because they kind of did have to, they were throwing a curveball when Sami Zayn, and rightfully so. I know, I don't disagree with him staying at home, but what I mean is, like, in terms of a storyline, and creative had them, paired together, and then all of a sudden he goes away, and now they have what was supposed to be two workhorses with the mouthpiece Sami Zayn. Now you're dwindled down to the workhorses.
Yeah.
So it's like, these two weren't meant to cut the promos in this feud, especially, like, if Xavier Woods comes back, let's say, and then Sami Zayn comes back, then I feel like you have, like, a really intriguing dynamic, because those are the two talkers of the groups.
Of course.
So right now we're kind of left with the workers, if you will.
And I think the biggest thing for me is, like we were talking about before, all the positivity. The biggest thing for me is that this wasn't even supposed to be the positioning for Shinsuke and Cesaro. This was supposed to be the Forgotten Sons. They were supposed to be the ones.
I didn't think about that. Yeah.
They were supposed to be the ones involved in this storyline. That's kind of where it started. And then, the Twitter fallout.
The tweet happened.
The tweet happened, exactly. And they kind of just got, I don't know, buried, I guess. I don't even know what you call it. So that's why they replaced them.
They got hot shotted. They got hot shotted into the angle is probably the best way to say it.
Right?
Yeah, now that you say it like that, again, it is, WWE is a really confusing time, and I do give them a little out on things, because like, there were rumors that Roman Reigns was supposed to be challenging or facing Braun Strowman or Bray Wyatt for the title at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
And now they have a whole different feud there. So yeah, I mean, WWE has to do damage control. They have to do what they have to do. The Forgotten Sons, I had actually I hated them in NXT. Did not like them. The funny part is, on an individual basis, I've liked each of them separately.
Yep.
Like, I've liked Gunner, as he was known in TNA. I loved him in TNA. I used to see him live. I live in Tampa, so we used to make the drive to Orlando, see TNA Impact. I liked the other two, Wesley Blake with Buddy Murphy and stuff. But anyway,
tag team champion.
Right, tag team champions. The point is, individually they did well. In NXT, no pun intended, but you almost forgot they were there. They weren't, like, thrown into good storylines. But when they came to the main roster and they did those little promos, I was like, okay, like, they were main roster ready. Like, they were meant for the main roster. And I was really finding it intriguing, especially with the way the world was going, currently. And they're like the Patriots, but, they're heels. I thought it was really going to work. And then, that tweet happened, and it just derailed them completely. And it's like, man, what horrible timing for that to happen, because I feel like going into July 4th, the summer, things like that, this would have been a very, and I'm going to be blunt, maybe not PC when I say this, but if they were going to feud with two black wrestlers going into this, it was going to really show some tension behind the storyline. Even though WWE wouldn't say it,
of course,
people would have been thinking it.
Yep.
And yeah, so now I'm almost, like, pissed off that this Cesaro and Shinsuke got slotted into this. But they're making the best out of it. It's going to be, I'll say it like this, it's going to be a good match, right? Like, I don't want anyone to take away from the fact that this is going to be a 5-star match.
Yeah.
But it's the storyline that's missing. It's not as compelling, So that's really what's lacking to me.
And I think, too, I mean, the easiest thing would have been just to take out Jackson Ryker from that group and leave the two of them as a tag team.
Correct. I think so, too.
Kind of reposition them as just, two guys in a tag team. Kind of forget about Jackson Ryker. I mean, it is possible with WWE. I don't know if they would have liked to do that just because of everything, how it happened. They probably want to wait a little bit. So people kind of.
Yeah, I think they would rather put them on the back burner and kind of bring them back together. You got to remember they were advertising them as having, two vets in there, and Jackson Ryker was one of the vets. So
exactly.
I feel like Wesley Blake would have been a little bit more fish out of water.
Yeah.
If it was just the two of them, I feel like it's Jackson. I'll say it bluntly. I feel like it's Jackson Ryker's group.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even though he's not the leader per se, it all revolves around Jackson Ryker. So if to take him out of the group, I think it wouldn't have been as good. It would have been like back when they did the Mexicools without Hoovy. It was like, what are you doing right now? It didn't come across well. So.
And I do have to agree with you too. When they were in NXT, I wasn't necessarily a fan of them. I think the best thing that they did was they were in like a tag team match. I think the match where the Street Profits won the titles in that ladder match, and they were involved. And I was like, that was the first time I was like, wow, these guys, they're really good. Then when they got to SmackDown, I was like, these guys, I want to see them be the champions. Because they were just booked.
They had something like they weren't good per se, but they were like you could see something like a groundswell. And I gave them leeway because I've gone to a lot of NXT events here in Tampa, even like when they do the house shows and let them kind of go. And Steve Cutler will never get credit. He doesn't show that side on TV, but he's very, very charismatic. People would say things to him, and he would jump into the crowd. He'd go like right into their face and be like, sit down, and someone would like go like to punch him or something. He'd be like, whoa, 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 like he'd be like, and chicken shit heel. And I was like, if I saw this side on TV, they would be great. And then so when they got to SmackDown, I saw a little bit of that, and I was like, okay, maybe they're letting him loose, if you will. And then unfortunately, bad timing, Jackson Riker, and then
just had to tweet, man.
Forgotten once again.
One of those times I'm like, I wish they didn't have Twitter.
Right. It's like, and it's one of those things. It's like, and mind you, I disagree with Jackson Riker's tweet, but it's like one of those things where it's like, did we go too far on that to like, that's his personal like opinion.
It was just a bad time. It was a bad timing with that tweet.
Right. And I think there was so much hostility at that time, especially not to say there isn't now, but it was like, there's so much that like, it was irresponsible for him to tweet in that carnage, if you will. You know what I mean? It was just adding fuel to the fire. And if you just waited even 1 week, I feel like on that, they'd have been fine.
But anyway, I mean, I can talk about these guys all day long, different directions where they can go. But the fact is, Shinsuke, Cesaro, they're in this title match. They've earned this title match. I think they have clean wins already over Kofi and Big E. Individually, I think as a team too, they have wins over this team already. The big question is, how many more times are we going to see the New Day hold the tag titles?
Right.
And that, be the 15, like the 37 time, like R-Truth is with the
with the 24/7 championship.
24/7, yeah, like 37-time tag team champions.
And it's funny. I think what are they up to? Like 7 or 8 right now.
I think they're on 8 right now.
And I'm actually one of those who I actually am not clamoring for the New Day to split up. I actually think they're very, very good together. But at the same time, it's like they are a safety net, and I think that's what's going on right now. Is like that the New Day is never gonna falter in that sense. So it's like you can give them the titles and it'll be fine.
Yeah.
But I think that's also the problem is that people aren't clamoring for the New Day right now because they've seen it so much in the past. But at the same time, I'll ask you this question, right? Just to show you how bad it is. If they weren't the tag team champions, who do you give it to?
I hate to say it, but I think you keep them on Miz and Morrison until you can have somebody else. Until you break that team up, because I feel like that's where that's going to. I feel like they're going to break up, especially what we saw in SmackDown.
Yeah, I agree.
Morrison kind of being forced into that match, trying to say, hey, Miz, you can have my back. And Miz is like, not really. But if you look at the tag team division on SmackDown, even on Raw too, there's a lot missing. Yeah. And, when you talk about other companies, you have Impact, you have AEW, just to name 2. They have legit tag team divisions.
Absolutely.
And WWE, I mean, they can have that too. I just feel like the way that they book the tag teams, you kind of, in a way, they kind of bury who they have. And then they make these little teams here and there, and then they're done.
Right. I agree with you. It all seems so makeshift, especially when you have, all the other divisions are pretty strong, but it's like, I miss the times of, not to be like back in my day, but I miss the days of the Hart Foundation and the Rockers and stuff where you literally, the tag teams were main eventers collectively.
Exactly.
They may not be, even like, I'll be blunt. Remember the Spirit Squad? Yeah. They were not good by themselves, but because they were McMahon's hired guns, and they were collectively right. They were main eventers. And so even that's probably the most recent example I could think of. You can really make stars out of this. I mean, the New Day is a perfect example. They were all faltering, even though we knew each of them was talented individually. And look, I mean, it culminated, in a Kofi Kingston title run finally. just because of the whole New Day gimmick and people going, oh, wow, I forgot how good this guy is.
Yeah.
So, basically my point is you can really make something out of a tag team. You can set your future. You can kind of have your pillars there.
Yeah.
Because you can make main events. I mean, look at the Shield. Literally pillars of their separate brands and now companies just because of, that one gimmick. Exactly. So, the point is, like, I feel like WWE should really realize that they need to invest in the tag team division and not just keep letting it go the way they do.
Of course. So I want to ask you, who do you think is going to win this match? Who's putting their opponent through a table?
I feel like if you don't have the New Day lose on this one, it's just something's wrong here. I feel like you do need to have Cesaro and Shinsuke come out on top a little bit here. This is my opinion. But at the same time, it depends where they're going next. Exactly. If the Forgotten Sons come back into play, keep it on the New Day. Because obviously we want a babyface team there. If you had to ask me though, even though I want Cesaro and Sheamus to win, I do think the New Day will retain. I think that's like ultimately what WWE is going to do.
Well, my thing is, if they do retain, who do they face next? Because they already faced everybody on this on the SmackDown roster, and this starts to bring up the question as, do they bring up people from NXT? Do we go to another draft with Raw and SmackDown or whatever? Do we see new tag teams developed? I think personally we're going to see Shinsuke and Cesaro come out on top because now they can feud with the Lucha House Party or whatever, which I wouldn't care for. But
but where the hell's Heavy Machinery? I know Otis. Otis has the briefcase for his world title shot.
Yeah.
But I've actually said I could see him cashing in on the tag team champions with
he said that publicly. He wanted to do that.
Right. He wanted to do that. So, would it be a shocker if the New Day retained and then all of a sudden, Heavy Machinery comes out and Otis is like, oh yeah, Tucky and me cashing in, doing that sort of thing. And because I think there's a reason why he's been off TV. You know what I mean? As in, like, they want people to kind of forget the Money in the Bank briefcase so that when it does happen, it's like,
wow,
holy crap, where'd that come from?
Yep.
So maybe that's it. Maybe the New Day retains, and then you got Heavy Machinery coming in, and then, then you have a whole different, plethora of feuds that you could go off of right there.
Gotcha. So you're going New Day. You think New Day is going to retain?
I think so. I think it's just a safety because I don't think if this were the crowd, if we had a crowd and stuff like this, I think I would go with Cesaro and Shinsuke, but I keep wanting to say Cesaro and Sheamus, by the way. That's why I keep stuttering on their name.
I do that too, man. I still do.
The bar. But I think it's just a safety to keep it on the New Day until SummerSlam. Going into their hottest event of the summer, quote unquote. Keep it on a team that you can put up on the poster and people know who they are. So
exactly. And I can only assume that this match is going to be a great match. Just because we don't have many Extreme Rules matches on the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, I think that this match is definitely going to stand out from the rest. And we're going to see a great match, like you said, 5-star match. Awesome perspective from Kenny, from a Kenny From Your Thoughts podcast. Great insight, great perspective to the championship, the tag team title match at Extreme Rules. Now we will be going back to the Zoom room later on in the show to discuss more matches with Kenny. But for right now, I have to do a little shelling here. If you haven't already, pick up your new Angle Drip merch at theangleradio.com. Click on the big shop button at the top. You can get a shirt like this one with the Angle Drip logo right across the chest. It comes in black, white, or blue. There are other merchandise. There's other merchandise there you can pick up from the Drip collection. Now there are very exclusive face masks that have the word Drip across them. Now $1 from every sale is donated to No Hungry Child charity. Now if you tuned into my Impact Wrestling Slammiversary pre-show last night, you would have saw my new friends from the Dropkick Podcast, Daniel and Vikram, with some great perspective as to last night's Impact Wrestling show. They are returning tonight back to the Angle pre-show to discuss more matches for WWE The Horror Show at Extreme Rules. So right now we're going to head back to the Zoom room to talk with Vikram and Daniel from the Dropkick Podcast. We are back here in the Angle Zoom room. I'm here with Daniel and Vikram from the Dropkick Podcast. How are you guys?
We're doing great,
We're
man.
great.
We're excited to be here and talk about Extreme Rules. Looks like a great card, and yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you guys coming on. We're going to jump right into it. One of the matches on the card that a lot of people are talking about is the U.S. title match. It's the champion Apollo Crews versus, I guess, the champion MVP. I'm not really sure who is the legit champion. There's a lot of drama around this ring, around this match, because there's a new U.S. title in the picture. So before we jump into this match, I want to get your guys' opinion on this new design of the U.S. title.
All right, yeah. So I'll go first. In my opinion, I feel as though the new U.S. Championship is decent. It doesn't look bad at all. However, I do think the previous design was a lot better, and it kind of hurts a little bit for me because that was like our last old title that we had in the WWE. But you know what? Change is good. We got to move on with the times. But one thing I will say is when you compare both titles, it's like the old design had that advantage where it's a United States Championship, and from a distance, there's a flag on it. You can tell it's a U.S. title.
Yeah.
Whereas for this one, if it's from a distance, I don't think you can like fully tell it's a U.S. title.
Mm-hmm.
Good point there.
Yeah.
And this belt in particular, I think, for me at least, like you said, it's the last design that we had from, that old era, I guess, of
Ruthless Aggression.
WWE.
Yeah.
This is the longest lasting title. I think it was like
Yeah.
15 years they had that title on TV. So to have that last piece of like, at least my childhood, like taken away into that new generation of, WWE, I don't know. It was kind of bittersweet, but like the IC title, I did prefer the white strap before better.
Yeah.
But the new one kind of grew on me over time. So I hope that happens.
I agree.
What are your thoughts on it, Daniel?
I think it looks okay. Like every title they, put out, I think eventually grows on me because I don't know, a lot of people said this about the NXT title, but I was one of the few people who were like, man, like the old NXT title was way better than the new one, but eventually it grew on me. And I think that's going to be the same case for this one. I think as time progresses, as new people win the title, for example, like Dolph Ziggler or anybody, it's going to, have prestige, have value to it. And I think eventually it'll settle down, but man, I'm going to miss that old U.S. title. Like, that Ruthless Aggression era last title, like, man, that was really good, but it's okay, but yeah.
Like everything else in the world right now, change is inevitable. And I guess,
Yeah.
Now I hope they actually keep this design because I see like, for example, with the WWE title, they change it every like 10 years or so. And I'm someone who likes to buy the replicas for some reason. And when they keep changing them, it kind of drives me crazy because I'm like, I don't want to buy a new one.
You gotta buy it.
Yeah.
I recently bought, actually not recently, but like last year, I bought the U.S. title thinking that, it was the longest lasting championship. I think I jinxed it or something. I don't know what I did, but I want to jump into this match, Apollo Crews and MVP. What are you guys' thoughts? What do you guys, what's your insight on this match?
Like I mentioned on our predictions video that me and Vikram filmed with Arnold, who was the host of the Pro and Bro podcast, I mentioned that back in the day, you had Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels fighting for the IC title, and there were two titles, right? So I feel like they're going to do something like that where it's two U.S. titles and they unified together. You know what I mean? Like a little throwback to the old days. I think that would be pretty cool.
That's actually not a bad idea. For me, that actually kind of builds the prestige because now you're combining both titles together. The fans who love that old title kind of will, fall into that new title, and that'll be really the new coronation of that title. Vikram, what do you think?
Absolutely.
Well, I definitely see Apollo Crews retaining the championship, but I don't think the storyline is done here. For me, the definitive champion is Apollo Crews. He won the title, and I feel like the storyline has been good. I feel like it would have made a little bit more sense if, kind of similar to John Cena and JBL, if Apollo Crews introduced the new title and MVP was like, no, I'm the longest reigning U.S. champion with this design. And MVP was holding the old championship on his shoulder. But nonetheless, it's a very interesting and intriguing storyline. I definitely got Apollo Crews retaining for sure.
Okay. And there are there's a lot of speculation around this match because we haven't seen Apollo Crews in a few weeks. Some people are saying that because he has a newborn at home, he's staying away from the WWE because of the coronavirus outbreak. there is even people saying that he may be one of the people who tested positive. We don't know. Nothing has been really said. And it's, like I said, it's strange because he hasn't been on television, I think, 2-3 weeks now to kind of promote this match. So when I was debating who I thought was going to win, I immediately thought Apollo Crews, and they're using MVP, who is a legend, to kind of get him over as, you know, a really legitimate champion. But with everything that's happening with having him not on TV, I'm starting to think maybe MVP does take the U.S. title some way, somehow. Maybe they find a replacement for Apollo Crews, even though nothing has been announced yet. If that is the case, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to show up or not. But I kind of see MVP winning this match, and maybe we see Apollo Crews, if he's involved, kind of lose his mind, lose his shit, and really just attack MVP, take out Bobby Lashley. We see like a vicious, you know, that heel turn. I think that they've been really teasing for a little while, or maybe we see him join MVP. I don't know.
Or that, yeah.
A lot of different directions we can go with this match. What do you think, Daniel?
Yeah, like you mentioned, there's a lot of different directions, but also Cedric Alexander has like little glimpses of heel turn, like we saw this past Monday night on Raw. They can do so much, man. They can do so much with this faction if they really, you know, have the driving force and the passion behind it. And I think they could. MVP is a genius. We've seen him do so many great things in the ring and even outside of the ring. So I think having MVP as like a leader, some sort, I think that could really like have Crews and Bobby Lashley, Cedric Alexander like get pushed to the moon. You know what I mean? And taken seriously and like a legit threat on Monday Night Raw. So,
of course. And they're actually labeling themselves now as the Hurt Business. That's their new faction name, the Hurt Business. So
awesome.
I mean, they are a faction now, or, you know, even if they're just two people on a team, I guess. So I think we will see, like you said, Daniel, they're going to grow that faction, teasing Cedric Alexander, maybe even Ricochet too, because these guys are not being utilized.
Yeah. Absolutely.
They're being utilized as, you know, jobbers for Bobby Lashley. So maybe we're going to see all these guys come together, and I don't know. It's just one of those kind of wait and see kind of moments. But for me personally, I'm going to go for MVP in this match.
For sure, man.
Daniel, who'd you say you're going to go for? You're going to predict?
I didn't pick yet. I think MVP's going to win somehow, some way. You know what I mean? Like, they'll pull like a swerve and be like, oh, we told you so. You know what I mean? But I think I got my boy MVP on this one.
Gotcha. And Vikram, you're going for
I'm going for Apollo Crews. I see Apollo Crews retaining the U.S. Championship.
Awesome, man.
Okay.
Right. 2-1. We'll see what happens. Now I'm going to jump over to a little higher match on the card, and that's the Raw Women's Championship. Asuka is defending her title against the Boss, the Blueprint, Standard, all these different nicknames. One half of the Women's Tag Team Champions, Sasha Banks. A lot of steam behind Sasha right now. Really
Absolutely.
kind of stepping into the light where Bayley once was, kind of putting Bayley behind her in a way. What do you guys think about this match? Where do you guys see Sasha?
I see, honestly, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I predict Sasha Banks to defeat Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship. Because I think we've been getting teased with Sasha Banks versus Bayley so many times. And I feel like it's such a WWE thing to have the women's tag titles and both championships on them, and they have them go at it with every women's title basically in their possession. Or they could go another route where Sasha wins the title, they start teasing them going at it, and then they lose the women's tag titles, and that's how you build towards it. Either way, I see either SummerSlam or Survivor Series being the point when we finally see that Sasha Banks versus Bayley match. And I think to do so, I think WWE really wants to have both women's championships on Sasha Banks and Bayley. So I'm going with Sasha Banks to defeat Asuka for the Rollins title.
All right. What do you think, Daniel?
Here's my take on it. Asuka just got the title 2 months ago, and I don't think they're gonna have her drop it just yet. Because here's the deal. Evolution 2 is in the works right now, I'm pretty sure, because they just dropped another video on WWE's Instagram page, kind of having a throwback thing, and I think Asuka's gonna go in Evolution as champ, we're going to get another rubber match between Sasha and Asuka. And like on Extreme Rules, Asuka's going to come out with the dub, and I don't know what they're going to do with Bayley and Sasha, but something's going to happen. But I think the long-term plans for Asuka's title is to have it go against Kairi Sane, because apparently she's leaving the company. So there's a lot of ways that they can book it, but I think the way they're going to do it is have Asuka, retain the title.
Of course. In this match, I think, like you said, Kairi Sane may be leaving WWE or maybe being groomed for a title match with Asuka. But right now, there's really no one else on the Raw roster I could say that could feud with Asuka that hasn't already, like Nia, who is at that level to maybe even, hold her in a match. I would love to say Liv Morgan or Ruby Riott, but they're kind of doing their own thing right now.
Right.
But even then, let's face it, do they have a chance right now against Asuka? Probably not.
Nope. They're not. They're not built to that point yet.
Exactly. So I think to utilize the SmackDown situation with Bayley and Sasha, utilize it on Raw too. Also because ratings are really bad, and people love, I guess, Sasha and Bayley because they've main evented Raw, I think, like 3 weeks in a row now, and SmackDown.
Yeah,
and
they're killing it, man. They're killing
everything,
it.
everywhere. And
they're killing it.
They've been everywhere.
We're all over. Yeah.
So I think this is definitely going to play into that storyline. And like you said, Vikram, are they going to make them lose the tag titles first, then feud for the SmackDown title?
And that's the thing.
Or is Sasha going to win this match? I personally don't see Sasha winning this match. I see it being some sort of interference by Bayley on accident,
Something
causing
like that.
Sasha the match. And Asuka's going to get the win. Although Asuka should be booked strong and, make Sasha tap. But I really do see that Bayley's going to attempt to help Sasha, interfere in some capacity, and eventually cost her the match by accident, which is kind of, it's going to start pissing off Sasha. And then we're going to see Bayley, get pissed off at they're going to be pissed off at each other, probably at the end of the night.
They're going to do something.
Yeah, but speaking of SummerSlam, which is where everybody says this match is leading to, are they going to pull the plug on Bayley and Sasha at SummerSlam, or are they going to wait until there's a live crowd?
See, that's what I'm thinking. I see them pulling the plug. And let's be real here. It's not something new for WWE to pull the plug on a Sasha Banks and Bayley match. This has been teased for, I want to say,
3
a
years
couple
now.
years. Yeah, a couple years now.
Let's take over
And-
3 years.
something.
And yeah, I don't blame them, to be honest, because I do think this match deserves a crowd there. And if we've already been pushing it back, why wouldn't we stop now during the pandemic? So I definitely see this match being pushed back. So, yeah.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
could also argue the fact that because the ratings are so bad, maybe they use this storyline to bring people in at SummerSlam.
They could. I mean, Io Shirai can come in because, she was in a match with Sasha, right? And then, they can do something like that.
All right. So what do you guys overall think for this match? Who's going to win?
I got Asuka. Man.
I got
100%.
Sasha Banks winning the Raw Women's Championship. I feel like I'm the one picking all the people that nobody sees winning, but I don't know. I see it.
Never know,
see
man.
Sasha Banks.
Never know.
You never know with the WWE today with this.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. 50-50.
Honestly, I can see Sasha pulling out the win and not having a long title reign as the Raw Women's Champion. Maybe the next night on Raw, we see Asuka in a rematch and Asuka beats her. And they just do it for one match. I've seen it done before. They've done it before. Look at Zack Ryder when he won the Intercontinental Championship. The next night, he lost to Miz. So they've done it.
Or
with
even
talent before.
right. Yeah, for
they
sure.
And I can see Asuka, beating Sasha, either due to Bayley or just her ability. But I'm gonna have to say Asuka for sure. Asuka for sure in this match.
Asuka's getting it, man.
Yeah. Sorry, Vikram. I mean, we're like here.
It's
2 on
all
1,
good,
man. Come on.
It's all good, man.
So any last thoughts on this, the Raw Women's Championship at Extreme Rules, the Horror Show, whatever it is?
I I think we covered everything, man. I think it's gonna be a great match. You know, Sasha can put on a great 5-star match if she wants to. Asuka's a phenomenal wrestler, and we're gonna see two good professional wrestlers go at it. You know what I mean?
And I think for a while too, we haven't really seen a feud between Asuka and Sasha. I think have we ever seen that? I don't recall.
I don't
think we have.
I don't think we have, and I might be wrong here. I don't even think we've had them in like a serious one-on-one match on a pay-per-view.
No.
So I think this has potential to be match of the night, to be honest, because knowing how good these two are in the ring, I wouldn't be surprised.
Absolutely.
There's two matches that I'm looking forward to. It's this one and the next match that I want to talk about, and that is the WWE Championship match between Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. No stipulation has been announced yet. I'm seeing all over the internet with these internet trolls, different stipulations that they're going to be picking. Before we even talk about the match, what do you guys think is going to be the stipulation that Ziggler's going to choose?
I've heard rumors that it'll be a TLC match. See, I thought he was going to pick I know this is kind of weird knowing it's Extreme Rules, but I was thinking that maybe he would have said you can't use the Claymore in the match. But then the rumors that's been floating around is a TLC match. So I see it happening, and I see it being a really good match because Dolph Ziggler, he's had some pretty good TLC matches under his belt for sure. Yeah. So I see the stipulation being a TLC match.
All right.
For sure, yeah.
You agree, Daniel? TLC?
I think it could be a TLC, or I'm going to go on a limb and say maybe an Iron Man match. Who knows, man? Who knows? That would be really cool, you know?
I'm surprised that if it is a TLC match that they wouldn't let us know before to market it, you know, like Extreme Rules.
Yeah.
We've always seen this pay-per-view as, Extreme Rules, extreme matches, extreme matchups. And this one, I really don't see anything extreme except, the horror show gimmick that we're going with this year. The eye for an eye match and the Wyatt Swamp thing. But other than that, I don't think there's any extreme matches on there. So maybe they will do this TLC thing, but I'm surprised that it's not something they announced, at least from now.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So Drew McIntyre has been WWE Champion since WrestleMania, over a 100-day reign, kind of claymoring his way through everyone so far. Is Dolph Ziggler going to be the next victim, or is Ziggler finally going to win that WWE title that's, really he's been missing?
Yeah. I love Dolph Ziggler, but I hate to break it to his really hardcore fans. He's just going to be another victim of a Claymore. Drew McIntyre is on top of the WWE right now. He's Claymored through Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, Bobby Lashley. It's going to be Dolph Ziggler next. He's going to Claymore through everybody until he hits
Roman Reigns.
Randy Orton. He's going to Claymore through everybody, and I do predict that SummerSlam. I do predict the SummerSlam match will be Drew McIntyre defending the World Championship against Randy Orton. And that's where I see maybe the RKO won't put him down, but the punt's been putting everyone down. Randy Orton's going to win that title. And I do think our next top world title match after that will be Edge defeating Randy Orton for the WWE Championship.
So, man, this guy knows his stuff. I don't know. I have to agree. Now I have to agree with Vikram here, Daniel. I'm sorry, but I do see that
Come on, man.
I do see that happening. Listen, I said on my Backlash pre-show, I said this whole thing with Randy Orton and Edge, it's just to bring Edge back. I didn't see Randy Orton going anywhere. I predicted on my WrestleMania pre-show, I said, Edge is going to get this win hands down. They had this next match. I said, Orton's going to get this win at Backlash, but what does it do for him? Where does he go from there? Because
where does he go?
He wasn't featured in any legitimate storyline since, besides that. I take back everything I said now because this guy is, now he's got Ric Flair in his corner. We're seeing a Randy Orton that we saw like 2009, 2010.
2009, yeah.
Where, he was on top. It is kind of bittersweet, though, because I don't know how many more times we're going to be able to see Randy Orton in this position in his career.
Yeah, sure.
He said he's going to be around for another 10 years or so. but they're not going to let him pass that 16 world title win. So
That's for John
and I think
Cena.
he's pretty close right now. I think he's at like 13 or something.
13.
Like
13,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
13 or 14. It's one of them. Yeah.
So with over a 10-year period, I don't know how many more times we're going to see that happen. But I would love to see Randy Orton. I think I'm predicting that Randy Orton's going to be the one to take that title
Definitely.
off McIntyre. I don't see it being Ziggler, although I do see this match being probably match of the night, just because we've seen what Drew can do, and knowing for how long that Ziggler's been doing this, we know the type of matches that he can put on. But we've seen them both together before, and it wasn't anything to watch, in my opinion. But I think with a stipulation in place, this is going to be something that we're going to be like.
It's going to be amazing, dude.
Absolutely. Yeah. And quickly, just going back to Randy Orton, I just want to put this out there. I know we're only halfway through 2020, but if 2020 progresses the same way it has, Randy Orton's going to be Wrestler of the Year. I'm putting that out there right now. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like I said, I take back everything I said because I was like, there's no point for Randy to win any of these matches with Edge because it's not like he's going to the WWE title picture. I wish I could pull that clip up somehow, but that's what I said. It's not like he's going to the WWE title picture. Now I got a big L on my forehead because that's exactly where he's going.
Here's my take on this. I love Dolph Ziggler. He's like one of my favorites of all time. Yes, I'm a big Ziggler mark, but let's be realistic. They're not going to put the title on Ziggler. So I'll go with Drew, but I don't think Randy's going to be the guy to beat him. You know who's going to beat him? Adam Cole, baby. He's going to enter that Royal Rumble. He's going to do what he did at NXT TakeOver 3 years ago. Undisputed Era is going to attack Drew McIntyre. And Adam Cole versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE title out next year's WrestleMania.
Oh, wow.
That'd
We're
be
already going to WrestleMania next year. I like it.
Hell yeah. Let's do it.
See, I have a similar direction for Adam Cole, baby. I have to just do that because you did it. I do see him because he's a Triple H guy. That's Triple H's boy. They're going to do something big with him when he comes up, obviously.
Absolutely.
Winning the Royal Rumble? Absolutely, I see it happening. But I see him going to SmackDown. And maybe taking the title from Roman Reigns. If
that would be big,
cool,
man.
If Roman comes
that
back.
would be huge.
Because I think that when Roman comes back, if Roman was here right now, he'd be the Universal Champion. That's
for sure.
He'd be going back and forth with the Fiend. There would be no Braun Strowman as Universal Champion. But I think when Roman does come back, he's going to get that belt, and Adam Cole is going to be the one to take it from him.
I think that'd be awesome.
That'd be pretty cool. But
I feel like SmackDown kind of needs that Undisputed Era with them. Right now.
They do.
I think that'll
for sure.
Even if it's just Adam Cole by himself, and Undisputed Era stays in NXT,
that's fine.
Regardless, I'm okay with any of them or all of them going to SmackDown, but they have to be on SmackDown because Raw, there's just there's too many
factions, man.
But speaking of Raw, I would love to see, and I tweeted it out last week, I want to see Adam Cole in the Undisputed Era, or either or, go to SmackDown, and I want to see Tommaso Ciampa go to Raw, and that's who we see feud and take the title off Randy Orton, maybe next year.
That would be pretty cool.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, I'm all up for it.
Oh
yeah.
But we're kind of jumping ahead here. WrestleMania 2021. But back to this match at the Horror Show. Drew McIntyre and Ziggler, like I said, probably will have the match of the night. One last time, let's just go over our predictions for this match. I'm going with,
of course,
Drew McIntyre on this match.
I'm also picking Drew McIntyre to retain the WWE Championship.
See, I want to pick Ziggler, but I don't want to be like, you know what I mean. But I'll say Drew just for the sake of it. I'll say Drew.
Did we influence you in any way?
Yeah.
But I definitely think it's going to come really close. I think we're going to see, we're going to be biting our nails to the point where, oh my God, Drew might just become the WWE champion. And then we're going to play more out of nowhere, I think. And play more him off a ladder or something if it's a TLC match.
Now I think about it, that would be
a really good spot.
Yeah. I don't know how they would do it. I mean, I know Ziggler can pull it off.
Yeah.
But I don't know how they would do it. Maybe he Claymores him like through the ladder from the other side.
Wow.
That would be
cool.
awesome.
Superman.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, or I mean, he hasn't busted out in a while. A zigzag off the top of the ladder.
That could happen.
We've
That's
seen that in the past. Yeah.
If it's a TLC match, you can see a zigzag off a ladder through a table. Now I'm going too far, but I feel like that'd be amazing.
I mean, it would be awesome to see.
Yeah, for
absolutely.
sure.
We've seen RKOs. We've seen everything under the sun come off those ladders. So we could see it happen.
Never know, man.
So we're all going to go with Drew McIntyre on this. Ziggler really, being left out here.
Yeah.
I know I said earlier on in the pre-show that WWE Superstar DOMINIK DIJAKOVIC will be stopping by to give some match predictions for tonight's WWE The Horror Show at Extreme Rules. And I'm happy to confirm right now that he is in the Angle Zoom room waiting to talk about the WWE Championship match tonight between the champion, Drew McIntyre, and the challenger, Dolph Ziggler. Now, a stipulation has yet to be announced by Dolph Ziggler, and I'm sure before the show or before the match starts, we will have word as to what that is. Now, like I said, we're going to head right now to the Zoom room to talk with WWE Superstar DOMINIK DIJAKOVIC.
As for my personal opinions, Joey reached out to me and he wanted to get my thoughts on Extreme Rules in the WWE title match between Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler. So I'm familiar with both of these men, more so with Drew McIntyre because he claymored me in the face on NXT right before Survivor Series. I've fortunately forgiven him for that, but I have not forgotten that. He's a wonderful WWE champion and a really good guy. Dolph Ziggler obviously has been in this company for a very, very long time and has a long list of accomplishments, short of which he has fallen short to the WWE Championship. I think that he has an excellent chance in this match, and it would not surprise me whatsoever if Dolph Ziggler were to become the new WWE Champion. That being said, if I had to make a prediction, I would go with Drew McIntyre because he's a big badass. And if anyone's going to take that title off of him, it's going to be me. Thanks, everyone. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast, The Angle Podcast, and don't forget to feast your eyes.
Now, over the last few months, we've seen the new adapted style from the WWE, and that is with cinematic matches. We've seen the Graveyard match. We've seen the Firefly Funhouse match. We've even seen some cinematic matches on NXT TV. There are many more to come tonight at WWE The Horror Show Extreme Rules. One in particular that the world is waiting for is the Wyatt Swamp fight between the Universal Champion Braun Strowman and the Eater of Worlds, Bray Wyatt. We're going to head back now to the Zoom room to talk with Kenny from Your Thoughts podcast to discuss this match and a few other ones that are left on the card. What's the one match that you are looking forward to the most, that you're most interested?
I think I'm looking forward to, I don't know why, but I'm looking forward to the Braun Strowman Bray Wyatt match just because I haven't a lot of faith in those two to be able to really channel this match. Like, I feel like to for full disclosure, I wasn't the biggest match of the Firefly Funhouse match, biggest fan, I should say, of the Firefly Funhouse match. I like the Boneyard match a lot better. I thought a lot of people were overrating the Firefly Funhouse match, but I think this one's going to be a lot more Bray Wyatt-esque. This is going to, this is right up both of their characters' alleys. A little subtlety I noticed, but I don't know if you noticed, but Braun Strowman's not shaving the sides of his head.
I saw that.
And like, to me, it's just a subtlety. It's like he's trying to look like he did in the Wyatt family. So he's almost like turning back into that character for a little bit, just like Bray Wyatt's turning back from the Fiend into the old Bray Wyatt. So I expect, just because I know it's stupid, but it's just the fact that I saw him not shave his head there. I was like, okay, these two are paying attention to special details in this match. So I expect big things out of them. So
let me tell you though, that aspect, just by you picking it up, is why I asked you to be on the show, and is why I watch your show. Because not everybody's gonna pick up that. It's really the people who have the knowledge, and really, know exactly what they're talking about. I saw it too, and because things are happening in the world right now, not everybody can go get a haircut whenever they want, obviously.
Yeah.
But that's not what came to mind when I saw him on SmackDown. And I do
Right.
have to say, I was not necessarily interested in this match before SmackDown this week.
Me too. Same.
I didn't really
I agree
care.
with you.
I didn't
did
really care
not-
for it. I
did
thought it was
not
just
agree.
like this ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
Braun's promos weren't that great, but what he said before he went into his match with Morrison this week, I was like, this is probably the best promo I've ever seen from Braun.
Yeah, I was hanging on every word.
Yep.
And
Bray's promo with the Firefly Funhouse thing, it was fantastic. Now let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Which version of Bray Wyatt is your favorite?
That's a loaded question because I don't think Bray Wyatt's ever done anything wrong in my eyes. You know what I mean? Like he just hit it out of the park. If I had to pick, maybe it's a hot take, but I am more of a fan of he's got the whole world in his hands, this old character, because I feel like they didn't scratch the surface on this. He had so much more to go. There was so much longevity in that could have been our new Undertaker, and really just developed from there. And they kept like kind of, de-pushing him or whatever, or sticking him into stupid storylines. Like I'll give you one little thing that makes me go, what if? I was at WrestleMania 32. I felt that electricity when The Rock was cutting the promo. I know who you are. You're Bray Wyatt. You're this, you're that. And then the next night when he turned babyface, and I saw The Undertaker in 1993 standing before me, which is I saw that mystique of like, here is your guy to have the dark character, no pun intended, but have the crowd in the palm of his hands and not have to do much. Like there is an art to that. And then unfortunately, and that's where that famous GIF comes from. I don't know if you've probably seen it on Twitter, where it's Wyatt's got the pinfall and he points to the other guy and Roman comes in with a spear.
Yeah.
That's where that comes from. It was that brief babyface run, and him and Roman standing tall. The crowd ate it up. They went crazy. He made Roman get cheered. Think about that. And then he got injured, unfortunately. And then when he came back, it was just the old Eater of Worlds, normal heel. And I always sit there and go, what if he didn't get injured? Because I felt like that character was going to where he would be comfortable in. I felt like that babyface character had a lot to offer, and he never got to show that. So
I do agree with that. And I personally am more of a fan of the Eater of Worlds, Bray Wyatt. When that character first debuted, it was nothing. We've never seen anything like that before.
We never saw Waylon Mercy? I'm just kidding.
There was just no character in the WWE at the time that was just that different and mysterious and that can really be compared to the Undertaker character.
Right. Exactly.
And over time, it kind of got, for me, a little bit stale with certain things. It was a roller coaster. And that feud with Daniel Bryan set me over the edge because I was like, this is my favorite thing. I'm set on this guy. I'm fully invested. And since there, it just, I think really after he lost to Cena at Mania.
And I was there for that, and we were,
slowly to the Matt Hardy thing. And then
the Matt Hardy, to me, the Matt Hardy storyline was where it jumped the shark completely, because it was like you had something good when they kind of added in the, him going to Matt Hardy's compound and things like that. Like there was a really intriguing, because again, they always kind of go places with him that they don't go with other characters.
Exactly.
And it's like, okay, I'm intrigued. And then they just did the normal team them up because they had nothing better to do. And it was like, okay, like we just completely, blew our load before we even knew what happened, and it was the best thing for him to call the audible and go with the Fiend. Like, to his credit, it was the smartest thing because he wouldn't have gone much further as the Eater of the Worlds. But now I'm liking where he is now, because now I like this whole, he's doing kind of what Matt Hardy's doing in AEW, that multifaceted kind of thing, where it's like we already showed that this guy has split personalities because he's doing the quote unquote babyface Pee Wee Herman type character, and then he evolves into the Fiend. Why not have the another aspect be that he can go back into the Eater of Worlds character? Because that character is probably, and I don't want to say it's the more normal character, but it's the character that you can bring in before the Fiend. Yeah. Because the Fiend is the ultimate boss. So, for example, like when the Fiend lost to Goldberg, we all were scratching our head because we're like, the Fiend is never supposed to lose.
Exactly.
But if they had put in the Eater of Worlds, Bray Wyatt, in that time period, maybe we would have not had as much of a problem with it, and then the Fiend could come out and lash out, after that. So it's just, I think it adds more tools to his repertoire, if you will. I hope it stays around in the sense of like, he can call back to it and this is not just a one and done, Yeah. So
I definitely think the fans are more of a fan of the Eater of World character. And as am I. I love the Fiend character. It's, it's different than what we've ever seen, obviously, with his character. But for me, it's more mysterious. It's more creepy. The Eater of Worlds character version.
Right.
More creepier. Is
creepy than evil. The Fiend is evil.
Because there's more,
like,
more promo. There's more expression than just the Fiend standing there. And I don't like the whole red light thing. And so there's a few things that really kind of turned me off with the Fiend character. But now that we have the Eater of Worlds, just for this brief moment, I think he's going to be stronger than the Fiend character. At least the way it's booked, I feel like he is stronger than the Fiend character.
The way I say it is like the Fiend is like that part of his brain where, anger and sense leaves him completely, and he can just do, it's the when the grandmother sees a child trapped under a bus and can lift up a car because of the adrenaline rush. That's the Fiend. But Bray Wyatt's the sick sadistic side, or the Eater of Worlds, I should say. It's the sick sadistic side where he just wants to mess with you because he can. And you don't know what this guy's thinking, and he can get into your head, and he can be really creepy. To me, that's a scarier individual. That sociopathic person is a worse person than the person who's just out to kill, because this person's out to mess with your mind, and then get you. So I'm glad that during this era they were like, you know what, we can't bring the Fiend into this because it's a waste. Yeah. Let's try the Eater of Worlds. And I'm sure that was a Bray Wyatt idea. Like, I'm sure that was not creative. Like, hey, we're thinking about bringing this back. I'm sure he said, hey, why don't we give you a nice in between, and we'll give you that, can extend the feud a little bit longer. So but here's a question I'm sure you're going to ask me, but let me pose it to you. Who wins this match?
There's there's only two scenarios here, but I think honestly Bray wins. Because non-title. That's the underlying factor.
I forgot it was non-title. So literally they gave away I feel like they gave away the ending there. Yeah.
For me, that's what they did. I originally thought it was for the Universal title. And I forgot. I think it was marketed as for
the first week it was. I remember discussing it, I think on my podcast. I literally said the first week it was, and then they took away the stipulation once they added in the swamp aspect, and it was like, okay, so you're basically saying that Wyatt's going to win, or Braun's going to disappear into the abyss or something, and no definitive ending.
It's a non-title match, and it's a match named after Wyatt. I mean, there's no more that I could say that's going to tell you that Bray is not going to win this match.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
that he wins this match, and we have the rubber match at SummerSlam with Braun and the Fiend character.
Yeah.
For the title.
Right, and that's where I said I think that's where it's going, where the Fiend is your final boss at SummerSlam. And then at that point, though, if the Fiend doesn't win the title, I think something's wrong. I think we should go back to the Fiend because here's the thing, and let's think about this in the business aspect.
Yeah,
the Fiend character is going to offer more in the COVID era than Braun Strowman will. Not that Braun Strowman's bad, but Braun Strowman feeds off of a crowd. He is a master manipulator of the crowd. However, you can see he's kind of faltering without a crowd. It's awkward. It's not his fault. It is kind of awkward.
Yeah.
However, think about what they were doing with the Fiend and the Firefly Funhouse. Those were all tape segments. Those were all backstage. Those were all, little vignettes. That's exactly what we need out of a quote-unquote universal champion right now, a world champion, because he doesn't actually even need to probably go into the arena. He could film stuff at home, and that could be his stuff for that week.
Yep.
And like he kind of did this week. You know what I mean? But I think we should have the Fiend in this era because I think it'll allow for more compelling television. Okay. My opinion.
Let me ask you this, because before you said that there was a rumor of Roman coming back for SummerSlam.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Bray wins this match, this swamp fight, whatever it is, wins this match. They have the rubber match at SummerSlam. What if we get Roman to make that a triple threat?
Well, I'll give you two answers. No matter what scenario, or one definitive answer, I should say. No matter what scenario you give me, I think in my heart of hearts, the plan was for the Fiend to win the title at SummerSlam. Either way, and I think what was supposed to happen was Roman would beat Goldberg, spear the crap out of him at WrestleMania. The Fiend would stalk him. And then, going in, it would be kind of a similar development that he's having with Braun. But obviously going into their past, and then even going into like, man, we teamed up, man, remember that, that sort of thing. And then we go into the Fiend in SummerSlam, and the Fiend would get the win. Why would the Fiend get the win at SummerSlam? Because it's the whole culmination of that storyline. The Fiend was the one who lost to Goldberg in the first place. Exactly. So for him to beat Roman would be a redemption story for his character, and we'd get him as champion again. So that, to me, my heart of hearts again, I said this on my podcast on the last episode. I think that the feud with Strowman and the Fiend was supposed to happen, but more towards September, October, Halloween time, which is where we would have gotten this kind of like creepiness and things like that, and going into the fall. So I think they're just kind of like switching things and kind of like putting that first. Yep. But I think, again, at the end of the day, I think the Fiend is going to stand tall with the Universal title at SummerSlam, and he would have if Roman gets interjected before or after.
Yeah.
So
I kind of have to agree with you there. So I think we're in agreement that this swamp fight it's all going to be the Eater of Worlds taking him to win.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think Braun's going to
no,
have a good
no
showing.
Doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
I just don't know why they would. I'm excited for it because it's going to be a cinematic match, obviously, but I don't know why they would put it like with this much momentum behind Wyatt. Saying that it's a Wyatt swamp fight, saying that it's non-title. I mean, real wrestling fans are going to obviously know where they're going to go, unless they're going to.
They could swerve us. They could swerve us, But I think ultimately Braun's going to have the physical showing in this match.
Yeah.
But then Bray's going to throw in the mind games, disappear into a swamp, or do something, or teleport somewhere, or do something. Like, it's going to be something like that where Braun gets frustrated of like, I'm beating this guy's ass, and then he's just coming out in different places. And, maybe it just ends with the Fiend finally like holding him down. Yeah. And who knows? But yeah, I think it is kind of weird that they're going one-sided, but I'm intrigued, and I think ultimately this is going to be the dark horse match of we're talking about the eye for an eye is going to be the show stealer. But I think this one's going to come out of left field, and we might be like, oh, didn't see that one coming.
I agree.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be an awesome show. I think that this, because it's being labeled as the horror show, we have two matches that are going to kind of fit that mold, being the eye for an eye match, the swamp fight. It also being Extreme Rules, we're going to have the tables match and then whatever stipulations Ziggler chooses for the WWE title match. I think we're going to have a good mix of different aspects here for what they're marketing the show as. I think all the matches are going to be really great. There's matches, because we're talking about the cinematic matches so much. There's other matches on that card that are going to be, show stealers too. Sasha and Asuka never feuded before. Something that everybody's been waiting for. That was kind of, if you ask me, underrated.
Absolutely, I think so. I think they're going to have good chemistry. I think that comes out of left field because everyone's always talking about the horsewomen. But it's like, you can slot Asuka in with anybody, especially a solid worker like Sasha Banks, and they're going to have a 5-star match. And then, we obviously, I don't think it's any, without going too much into it, I don't think it's any surprise that we're probably headed to Sasha and Bayley at SummerSlam, or at least something, maybe them tagging up and then turning on each other or something. But that's going to be really intriguing. So forget all the cinematic horror show kind of stuff. Yep. Just that one storyline has been culminating so long that we're finally going to see something there. I think Sasha's going to be holding one title. She's going to be, because come on now, Raw Women's Champion versus SmackDown Women's Champion, both co-holders of the tag team titles. Like, it writes itself. It writes itself. So.
And before I let you go, I do want to let you kind of market your podcast, give everybody all the information where they can find you on Twitter, your podcast, anything, whatever you want to say to the fans.
Well, first of all, I want to put you over for the simple reason that I told you this before we went on air. I don't do a podcast unless I feel somebody is willing to put the work in and really will shine in this industry or shine in this wrestling podcast profession, if you will. And I see that dedication. I see that passion. You've made some really big moves already, had some big names. And I'm not just, blowing smoke up your ass when I say that. Like, that is, I legitimately see that. And so that's why I'm honored to be on your Zoom room, if you will. And thank you for having me. So that's first and foremost. Second of all, if you want to see my little old podcast, by all means, go on social media. We are on Instagram and on Twitter. It's AKFYT. So Kenny for your thoughts, the initials, wrestling on there. So AKFYT wrestling. You can find us on YouTube as well. YouTube.com/Kenny for your thoughts. We do a live show there. Set your notifications. We usually do them Thursday night or Friday morning, sometimes Thursday morning. But I pride myself in being able to do a live podcast because that is a whole different beast. Live television is a different beast, but when you got just your one little podcast, you're trying to run 50 million things at once, and you're doing it live and trying to be entertaining. That is a different kind of adrenaline rush. So please watch us, chat along with us, and you all feel me to be entertaining live. Besides that, you can always find us on audio platforms. Everyone you can think of: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play Music, and more. Maybe YouTube Music, I should say, not Google Play Music anymore. But yeah, you can find us everywhere. I'm like audio horror. I'm everywhere you want me to be.
Awesome, man. And I do appreciate, the kind words. I do appreciate you coming on and taking the time to do this. And I want to do it more. I like to tell all my guests Absolutely. All the time, this is not just a one and done. I like to have returning guests for the next, the upcoming pay-per-views or whatever. But even if you want to just jump on a regular podcast that I do weekly, I'm more than welcome, to have everybody on.
You let me know.
Not just about me, it's about podcasts in general.
Absolutely. The wrestling community, we all help each other in different ways, shape, or form. That it's such a great community. Once you get past the toxicity, don't focus on the trolls, focus on the people helping each other, like us here. And I owed you one, man, because I felt so bad because I was supposed to be on your, your last month's episode, and because of work and things like that, I just couldn't. So I owed that to you, and I definitely want to be on one of your weekly episodes. You would be more than honored to do that, man. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you for coming on. I want to thank all of my guests tonight from the Dropkick Podcast, the Balor Club Guy, Kenny from Your Thoughts Podcast, and even WWE Superstar DOMINIK DIJAKOVIC for stopping by the Angles pre-show to give match predictions, all that good stuff about tonight's WWE The Horror Show at Extreme Rules. Now, the WWE has labeled tonight as The Horror Show at Extreme Rules, and I believe that's exactly what it's going to be. We have some matches that may present itself as a horror show. We have the eye for an eye match between Rey Mysterio and Seth Rollins. We have the Wyatt Swamp fight between Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt. Now we also have the Extreme Rules side that will feature a tables match for the WWE SmackDown Tag Team titles, and also a stipulation that has yet to be announced by Dolph Ziggler for the WWE Championship match later on tonight. Whatever happens tonight, I know that tonight is going to be an exciting, fun, entertaining night filled with a lot of action and a lot of extreme competition. I'll be live tweeting the entire event. You can tweet me, ask me any questions, comments, whatever, at The Angle Radio on Twitter. Like I said, live tweeting the entire night tonight. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to this Angle pre-show for WWE The Horror Show at Extreme Rules. And like I said earlier at the beginning of the show, grab some popcorn, grab your face mask, maybe even grab some sanitizer. And get ready, because the horror show at Extreme Rules is about to begin.
Hey everyone, this is WWE NXT Superstar DOMINIK DIJAKOVIC. Make sure that you like and subscribe to The Angle Podcast. Joey Karni does a fabulous job. It's an outstanding podcast. You get all of your quality professional wrestling content all bundled up into one nice little package, and it's called The Angle Podcast. So make sure that you tune in, subscribe, like, do all of those wonderful things, but most importantly, listen, because it's very informative and it's actually quite a bit of fun.